I have a topic today is what's the future of cars? I have two futuristic racing games, Top Gear 3000 and F-Zero. F-Zero is in the year 2560, and they are racing in cars that with no tires. They are hovering a foot off the ground and racing 300 miles above the city. And the slowest machine does 438 kilometers per hour. And we already got two cars, at least, that does that. The Bugatti Chiron and Koenigsegg Jera RS, whatever, the 101, I don't know. But we're not floating a foot off the ground yet. I was born in 1983. And I think around 87 or 88 or 89, somewhere around there, we got our first 200 mile per hour production car. It was some Porsche, that was a 959 or something, I can't remember exactly. And then we got, we also got the Ferrari F40, which claimed it did it like 201 or something like that. A couple years later, in 1992, was the Jaguar XJ220. And it did 218 miles per hour. And then in 1994, the McLaren F1 at 241 miles per hour without the limiter. We're getting close to that 250 mile per hour mark in just a few years too. Even today, the F1 is the fastest natural aspirated engine car ever made. We got a Bugatti Veyron around the year 2002. I think it hit 253 miles per hour, so we got a 253 mile per hour car now. And then the Ultimate Aero TT, I think it did like a few more miles per hour faster. Hennessy is claiming that they hit 301 miles per hour in their F1 or F5 car, but it hasn't been proved yet. I heard that Bugatti Chiron did 288 miles per hour without the limiter. We're getting close to 300 miles per hour for a production car. Engineering Explains says it would be so hard for a car to reach 300 miles per hour. There's a lot more resistance that happens the faster you go. You only need 200 horsepower to get to 150 miles per hour, but you need 1,000 more to get to 250 miles per hour. I think the Chiron runs out of fuel at full throttle something like under 10 minutes. Plus, if cars can't get to 300 miles per hour quickly, the tires build up so much heat that they blow out. So maybe F-Zero is onto something with no tires, unless tires get better in the future. What if it's impossible to run 300 miles per hour in a production car, or even to reach that speed? What if you start with a full tank of gas and you're still accelerating and you run out of fuel before you reach top speed? What if a time like that is coming? And people are predicting that the first production car that will hit 300 miles per hour will be all electric. And the Top Gear 3000 game is like the year 3000, obviously. It's a game that uses only battery cars. That with better motors, not engines, goes over 300 miles per hour. Maybe that game is ahead of its time, and maybe it's onto something with all electric cars. And the best motor on that game is atomic nuclear powered, and that sounds kind of scary, But I don't see the switch to electric coming anytime soon, as Scotty Kilmer puts it. I believe he's right that there's not enough ion batteries in the world, and there's not enough charging stations out for the switch to become electric from gasoline. I don't see that coming anytime soon. There's plenty of gasoline still yet. Now they have self-driving cars. Imagine buying a car from a website and being on the highway, or somebody being on the highway, and they look over and they see a car with no driver, and they think, well, somebody just bought a car. I wonder where it's going. It's delivering itself to the driver. Will cars be like that in the future? What will cars be like in the future? Well, people even talk about or remember push-rod engines. Will millennial teenagers see an old car on the road and talk to the owner about it and find out that it's only 5 valves per cylinder and say something like, why doesn't your car have at least 20 valves per cylinder? I mean, is that time coming, or what do you think? Or maybe in the future a teen gets into an older car with a combustion engine and gets out and says, I think there's something wrong with your car. It makes noise. What? It's an electric. I mean, what? It's not electric. Well, how does it work? An engine, what's that? And then, they explain to them what the engine is. And, oh, that sounds ancient. Who invented that, cavemen, or I don't know. Or maybe they'll say something like, the self-steering is broken in this car. I had to manually steer the car myself. What do you mean it's supposed to be like that? Why aren't all cars like that? Self-steering? Why does your car have to have a key to start it, to turn a switch? I mean, why isn't it a voice activator? Or why do you have a push-button start and it doesn't read your mind and starts telepathically? Already millennials are in a different world. They think that a stock 1970 Plymouth Superbird does 200 miles per hour out of the showroom floor just because they've seen some older NASCAR race, when they don't understand that, when NASCAR buys those cars, they take the engine and they soup it up and they replace the stock transmissions with the transmissions that they built and tuned. Or, they already think that all mid-90s Toyota Supras come with 1,000 horsepower because, everybody's souping them up these days. And so when they talk when they see a stock Supra, they automatically assume it's got 1,000 horsepower because they think they all have them. And so when they do talk to a owner of a stock Supra, and they find out that it's like only 320 horsepower. They're like, what? 320? What's wrong with your car? Why isn't it got 1,000 horsepower? Not knowing that they found out that you can soup those Toyota Supras up really, really good and not sacrifice any reliability because they're overbuilt. They got like forged pistons in them already. You don't have to do nothing to it but just bolt on stuff. Alright. Let me know where you think the future of cars is going.